Before the video starts, I have an announcement. I have opened 2 brand new YouTube channels. There's my live streaming channel called Lation Live, where I'll be streaming from here on out. If you want to watch me verify Red World Classic, this is where you'll want to go. I'll also be posting the occasional stream highlight video if I ever have the time to. The other channel is called Lottie GD, which is just going to be some recordings of me beating some other levels or whatever I feel like that day. If you want to see more of me, feel free to subscribe to these channels. Link to these will be in the description. Cyclic is a name that almost everyone's familiar with. He was one of the best players in the world during the game's golden age. He built the hardest levels, and he beat them too. His completions were years ahead of its time. Cyclic was the best player in the world by a significant margin, but little did everyone know that it was all a lie. Cyclic hacked every completion he ever did. I personally believe that Cyclic's cheating scandal is the single most influential moment in Geometry Dash history. This created some of the game's biggest moments. It kicked off the career of a player that some debate is the greatest of all time. It also brutally ended dynasties. A scandal that happened in 2016 only closed its curtains in 2021. Cyclic hacking these levels changed history. But what if he didn't? What if he beat all of these levels legitimately? What if he really did push the game to its limits years before anyone else? What would happen to his levels? What would become of future top players? How different would things truly be? Cyclic's career began in early 2014. He was a Korean star grinder who was most famously known as Series' biggest competition. Most people today don't know him as a star grinder though. People know him for his insane demon completions. Fast forward to January 2015 and a new level called Cataclysm was created. G-Boy, the level's creator, hacked his verification of the level, so it sat for months without a verifier. Kata was thought to be harder than anything else at the time. It had moments that, to the naked eye, looked impossible for a regular player. Although there were many videos at the time of people claiming to beat the level, none of them were legitimate. Nobody could beat Cataclysm. Well, that was the case until Cyclic did the impossible by verifying the level in just 15,000 attempts. This was a huge moment for both the community and Cyclic. To celebrate, he did a Q&A. One of the questions he asked was what his hardest completion was. Everyone expected him to say that it was Cataclysm, as it was thought to be impossible 3 months ago, but to everyone's shock, he said that his hardest level was called the Hell Zone. Everyone was dumbfounded by this answer, as next to nobody knew what this level was. Whatever it is though, it must have been really difficult for Cyclic to say that it's harder than Cataclysm. When the festivities were over, Cyclic beat the ultimate phase, a level that was thought to compete with Cataclysm in difficulty. Not only did Cyclic complete the hardest level in Cataclysm, but he also just beat the second hardest level. This would cement Cyclic as the undisputed greatest player in the world. Unfortunately for Cyclic though, that wouldn't last very long. On May 20th, 2015, an unknown player named Riot beat Cataclysm. At the time, he was most known for being the unofficial verifier of Deadly Clubstep by Neptune. Soon after his Cata completion, Riot would verify a level called Ice Carbon Diablo X, another formerly impossible level like Cataclysm. Cyclic attempted to race him to be the verifier, but it was Riot who beat him to the punch. Not long after, Cyclic beat ICDX, officially beating the top 3 hardest demons in Geometry Dash. As for Riot, he didn't just stop at ICDX. Riot collaborated with some of the best creators at the time to build a level called Bloodbath. The biggest debate in the game was which level was harder, Cataclysm or Ice Carbon Diablo X, Riot or Cyclic. This debate would end prematurely if Bloodbath was verified and rated, as it was miles harder than anything else at the time. Cyclic, not wanting to be one-up, decided to build a level of his own. The level that he made was called Sonic Wave. The level was inspired by a popular trend created by Zobros in his level 9 Circles, which utilized the newly created Wave Game mode. The level is most known for its highly disorienting effect during the drop. This style of level went viral amongst the community, with many people making their own 9 Circles level. Cyclic's attempt to dethrone Bloodbath would be his own 9 Circles level. On June 21st, 2015, Cyclic beat Riot to the punch by 2 months by verifying Sonic Wave. The level was much harder than Cataclysm or ICDX, and we found out later that it was even harder than Bloodbath. Unfortunately, Cyclic said that he had recording issues, so his verification video was spliced, but because of his reputation as the verifier of Cataclysm, everyone believed him and the level was rated. Even though he got Sonic Wave up before Bloodbath, Cyclic was still not content. Weeks later, he decided to update Sonic Wave with major buffs and a new color. He put out a public poll on what the color should be. Dark blue ended up winning the vote. After the vote, Cyclic completely refurbished the level. Cyclic made quick work on this buff date, taking only a week to verify it. This time though, he recorded his completion. People were amazed at how difficult this level was. The wave parts didn't look possible to them. Even today, you'd be hard pressed to beat this level. Unfortunately, the video has long since been deleted, but it's been documented that many people in the comments section accused Cyclic of hacking Sonic Wave. In response, Cyclic updated the level for a third time, but nobody expected what the level would become. The level was a super buffed version of Back on Track. In a fit of rage, Cyclic deleted all of his levels, including Sonic Wave after it got unrated. After this drama, Cyclic still played the game, most notably verifying Galactic Fragility. However, in September, Cyclic quit Geometry Dash, deleting all of his videos and every trace of himself from the internet. When everyone thought that Cyclic was gone forever, he returned in November of 2015. He wouldn't beat anything until January 2016 when he verified A Bizarre Phantasm by Team N2. Team N2 was a group of Korean creators who built extreme demon levels. If you remember, when Cyclic beat Cataclysm, he said that his hardest completion was a level called the Hell Zone. Well, years passed and Cyclic never forgot about the level. He wanted to bring the Hell Zone back into the community's limelight by hosting a mega collab, redecorating the level to modern GD standards. With some help from his friends from Team N2, the level had a completely new look. Cyclic's version was also buffed to be harder than the original. Despite that, Cyclic made it look easy, verifying it in just 3 days. This was one of Cyclic's biggest moments, but it was also his downfall. People quickly noticed that the verification video was extremely fishy. They noticed small cuts in the video, showing that he spliced his verification video. Not long after, Cyclic confessed to hacking everything he ever did and a Skype DM to Riot. Less to say, Riot was in pure disbelief.
No, it cannot be real. I've been competing with a hacker the whole time. What is the point? What is life?
And that's where Cyclic's story ends. Cyclic is well respected today, but his fall from grace can't be overlooked. Things were never the same after his exposal. That makes me wonder though how different things would be if he was a legitimate player. So that's exactly what we'll be finding out. Before we pick up where we left off with the Hell Zone though, let's talk about how different history would have been before that. To start, Cyclic's accomplishments in 2015 would have all been legitimate. This includes Cataclysm, the Ultimate Phase, the Hell Zone, and most importantly, both versions of Sonic Wave. SW being verified legitimately changes everything. To start, Cyclic would have never pulled Sonic Wave from the servers. The reason he took the level down is because of the accusations of him hacking, and because they were true, he assumedly felt guilty and deleted it. With nothing to hide, Cyclic would have kept Sonic Wave on the servers. In our timeline, Sonic Wave was verified almost a year and a half after Cyclic hacked it. This gives Sonic Wave an additional 16 months to sit atop the demon list. Today, Tartarus has the record for the longest standing top 1 at 526 days. In this timeline, Sonic Wave would have destroyed that record, sitting atop the demon list for an uninterrupted 826 days. That's almost 300 days longer on the top of the list than our current record holder. After Cyclic was exposed, Sonix was the person who verified Sonic Wave legitimately years later. If Cyclic was legitimate, this very likely would have changed. Mifui, who was a journeyman player at the time, was agonizingly close to beating Sonic Wave long before Sonic's. Mifui's version was on a super buffed copy. Mifui died at 98 to some spikes at the end of the level that he built. In the official Sonic Wave, those spikes aren't there. If Mifui was playing Cyclic's copy of Sonic Wave, it's very likely that he would have ended up being the first victor, beating both Sonic's and Riot to the punch. A direct implication of this is that the level Sonic Wave Rebirth by Funny Game and Serpunge wouldn't have existed. The level was built just for Mifui to beat. If he had already beat Sonic Wave, there wouldn't have been a reason for this level to exist. As an extension of that, I don't think the Sonic Wave clone trend would have happened, so I don't think levels like Auditory Breaker or Generic Wave are built. I do think that Sonic Wave Infinity would still be made as something of a foil to Bloodlust. I also believe that SWI would have as rough of a verification history as it did in our time, but that's a story for later. Cyclic verifying Sonic Wave also puts a nail in the coffin of the Riot vs Cyclic debate. With Sonic Wave being remarkably harder than Bloodbath, Cyclic would be the clear victor of the rivalry. I do think that Riot would have beat Sonic Wave much earlier than he did in real life, just to prove that he was at least on the same playing field as Cyclic. I don't believe he would have gone much further than that though. Lastly, and most importantly for our story, Cyclic wouldn't have quit the game. The reason that he left was because of his nagging guilt for hacking his completions. This wouldn't be an issue if he was fully legitimate, and with Sonic Wave and the Hell Zone under his belt, I think that Cyclic would have gone full steam ahead into the modern ages of Geometry Dash. And that brings us to where we left off. Time to see what could have happened if Cyclic continued playing after the Hell Zone. After the verification, Cyclic would take a break from beating the game's hardest levels, wiping out some easier extremes and insane demons. For everyone else, there was one goal that everyone wanted to get: dethrone Sonic Wave as the top 1 level. The first big step towards this goal would come in August of 2016 when a newcomer named Trusta verified Sakupin Hell, a formerly impossible level by Nubis. The level would place at number 2 on the list, below Sonic Wave, but above Bloodbath. A few months later, a new player called Combine shocked the world by verifying GS's new mega collab known as Artificial Ascent. The level was verified on December 11th, 2016, a year and a half after Sonic Wave's verification, but was also placed at number 2, above Sakupin Hell, but still below Sonic Wave. 3 months would go by until the next challenger to Sonic Wave would come. After verifying Sakupin Hell, Trusta was given the task of verifying Yatagarasu, a level that was made to be the Sonic Wave killer. The level was significantly harder than SW, but no matter who tried to play it, nobody could make any progress on it. The level was borderline impossible. After many months of no progress, Viperin gave Trusta the order to nerf Yata to be only slightly harder than Sonic Wave. This plan blew up in his face, as when the level was verified on January 16th, it was placed at number 2, barely below Sonic Wave. The two levels were almost identical in difficulty, but Sonic Wave was unanimously decided to be the harder level by the Demon List moderators. Meanwhile, Cyclic wasn't done verifying top 1 levels. Team N2 was back, and they built their newest extreme demon called Artificial Ideology. The level would be much harder than the version that we know today, as it was made to push Cyclic's abilities to its limits. He was also fully committing to verifying it, buying a 144Hz monitor. Given that he beat Sonic Wave on 75Hz, access to 144 would push his skill ceiling even further. In July 2017, Artificial Ideology would be verified in 33,000 attempts. Just like Cataclysm and ICDX before it, the debate between Sonic Wave, Yatagarasu, and eventually Erebus later down the road was void, as Artificial Ideology would handily take the number 1 spot. At the same time, 3 new levels were being built that could rival AI in difficulty: Platypus Finale, Bloodlust, and Sonic Wave Infinity. Platypus Finale was verified first in October of 2017 by Smokes. The level would be placed in number 2 below Artificial Ideology. The remaining 2 levels are having a rough time being verified. Bloodlust timeline is the same as ours. NobbleBoy verifies the level after over 100,000 attempts. On the same day of its rating, it's placed at number 1 narrowly over Artificial Ideology. AI and Bloodlust would swap the number 1 rank multiple times until another level would dethrone both of them. As for Cyclic, without any new verification projects, his playing career would start to cool off. Sonix would quickly take over as the game's best player, leaving Cyclic to his own devices. He decided to take a career path where he would record and beat many different high-level extreme demons in great quality in order to showcase them better for the community. He would also beat a few other random levels, showcasing them on his channel. Cyclic would essentially be the Korean version of Nexus. Cyclic was still a top player and beat the game's hardest levels when they appeared, but he enjoyed beating some of the easier extreme demons that needed more attention. Because of this, Cyclic would be the massive voice of the Korean community that they needed to stay relevant. However, there was one more thing that Cyclic needed to get done in order to get out the rocking chair and enjoy Geometry Dash retirement. Sonic Wave Infinity was built around the same time as Bloodlust and PPF, but it was still not verified in 2020. SWI has gone through up to 10 verifiers at this point, but for one reason or another, nobody's been able to get it done. Cyclic told the community multiple times that he would never verify the level, but with no other option, he decided to finish his time as a top player by beating the level that made him famous. It took many months, but after over 45,000 attempts, Cyclic verified Sonic Wave Infinity. The level would narrowly be placed at number 1, barely beating out Tartarus. For one last time, Cyclic was on top of the world. When it's all said and done, Cyclic would have gone down as the undisputed greatest player of all time. He could have verified 4 top 1 demons in 3 different eras, and he would have maintained his greatness all the way until the start of the new decade. He would still be a very well respected member of the community, having hundreds of thousands of subscribers. His skill could have possibly paved the way for many top Korean players that we never got to see. The main reason I think Cyclic would have made it as far as he did is the fact that he would have beat levels like Sonic Wave without 144Hz. If Cyclic ever got his hands on a 144Hz monitor, or even 240Hz, I believe that Cyclic could have been a top player all the way up until Slaughterhouse was verified. You have to remember though that at the end of the day, we'll never know what could have happened. This is all just fun speculation on my part, so don't take anything too seriously if you disagree with anything I said in the video. One thing's for sure though, if Cyclic was legitimate, Geometry Dash would have been completely different.